Hey, it's Enrico Palazzo!
Utah, give me 2.
Palazzo!
Utah, give me 2.
Welcome, everybody, to your favorite Monday evening happening, the Palazzo Prospects Power Hour. I am Ben, Big Gentle Ben, on all of the social medias, and I'm with my man Robbie Baseball. How are you doing tonight?
I am ready to talk baseball.
All right.
That's how I am, Ben.
That's a good
How
one.
are you?
I am. I just got in from a city commission meeting.
Oh, right. Those are your Mondays. Yeah.
That and just had some stuff go on, and my nephew committed to a college today, and so that's been kind of a big news that everybody wanted to ask me about, to play some basketball. So that was that slowed me down getting out of this commission meeting tonight. And then I got home. I immediately kicked on the live score update thing for the championship game for NCAA baseball and got myself set up, and here we are. So just a busy day. A lot of if anything could go wrong at work, it has been going wrong at work the last few days. So that's just kind of been life. So glad to talk baseball because it's not including anyone being really upset with the newspaper right at the moment. So
yeah, I'm with you. We can jump right in. Anthony's asking, hey guys, will Mitch Bratt and Jack Winiger be NL only stash starting pitchers to help your team? I mean, I don't know. What kind of a league are we talking here? If you're NL only, I'm going to guess you're playing a 15, and anything is worth stashing, and you never know when you could catch lightning in a cold Drake bottle.
And that's just the whole thing with the Diamondbacks. There's a few other names that are likely going to get that shot before Bratt, sorry. But the thing with the Mets is they're still, I think, honest to goodness, they want to give as many innings as they can to guys like Sean Manaea, to Kodai Senga, all of those until they get to July and then decide that they're not competitive this year so that those guys can be traded away. And they're
veteran dollars that are already assigned for the year. So
yep. And I want to say either for sure one of them, if not both of them, are free agents next year. And so that also makes them attractive trade pieces for the Mets. And so I was just pulling up the Mets contracts here, which is fabulously entertaining radio if you're listening to this.
Yeah.
But and then that'll be the moment
they can always throw Jonah Tong back up too if you're the Mets, if you want to do it like you did last year. Now that was in a competitive window. This is, I think, more ideal for him as a development time, but he hasn't been lighting the world on fire at AAA.
So Manaea, actually both of them have a contract for next year,
sure,
but they're a free agent and they're they're free agent and/or team option after next year. But they both have a contract for next year. But that honestly could make them more valuable because they're each, whatever team acquires them isn't just paying for 3 months. So if they actually believe in the guy and they want him around for a rotation next year, that could make them more valuable in the trade market. But regardless, that's kind of the question for the Mets. You got to find out what you're doing, like I said. And then with the Diamondbacks, who knows? Maybe there's, like you said, you talking Cole Drake. So
yeah, he's suspected to be Wednesday's starter, which we will get into as we will transition now into news. So what we're going to do for everybody out there, you're welcome to hop in the chats. If you look on the Twitter or try to do it through the Twitter, the X, the what have you, we are not going to be able to get follow-up questions from you. If you hop on YouTube, where you should also be liking, subscribing, and whatnot, as it costs you $0 and it helps our mental health and Govier's bottom line so he can get on the early flight home from Cleveland. Will be in a good place here. We might even have enough money now to get Sam his internet back so that he can join us, which is something we've been working hard to get here. But yeah, so Mickey Moniak is on a rehab assignment. This is good news for Mickey Moniak rosterers out there. Ben, we've been seeing lots of prospects come up and taking time. Who do you think this could directly affect?
I think probably your biggest one, this is going to directly affect Sterling Thompson getting a shot, I think. And Anthony's saying that Moniak was actually activated.
He's done the reset. Okay, that was quick.
So Cole Carrick has played great. I don't think this is going to truly affect Cole Carrick getting to keep playing. But I don't know who their outfield is going to end up being kind of a jumbled mess here very quickly. And I have a feeling that that's one that's a definite July trade candidate sort of thing, that it's going to clear up August 1st.
Yeah. Imagine if the Rockies traded players. That would be interesting. You know where
that's the unfortunate part is they don't.
Hey, you know where he might be a fit? He might be a fit in Seattle. Sam, great to have you back.
There we go. Yeah. We'll send him to.
You want to see Moniak?
Man, we've got an outfield problem also because Brendan Donovan hasn't been playing. Canzone's been hitting really well. Robles is back. Our infield is set. Naylor, Young, Crawford, and Emerson, and Cal Raleigh, right? Like, so
Crawford's on the IL now, but whether that's 10 days or whatever, but
right. But that, I mean, yes, I would take the Mickey Moniak that seems to be hitting well in Colorado, but I also, I'm really curious about, did Mickey Moniak, is he one of those guys that figures out how to hit as a player in Colorado? I think I talked about that a couple of weeks ago, where there's some players when they go to Colorado, they just don't have it in them to adjust to the altitude and to the park. And maybe they push too hard because they think they're supposed to be Barry Bonds. I don't know what that is. So maybe, I mean, I wouldn't say no to Mickey Moniak. I think he's better than Rob Refsnyder, but
right.
Yeah. So Anthony is saying Sterling Thompson was sent down, so obviously that confirms that yes, he is going to be the guy that is affected the most. I have not seen. I understand his OBP is decent. I haven't seen enough from Tyler Freeman to say that he needs to still be there and in getting reps in the outfield. You're talking a 268, 351, 366 line in Colorado. When you're slugging 366 in Colorado, there's probably quite a few guys that are going to be able to do that. Troy Johnston is still at he's hitting 300, but you're talking that's a 436 slugging.
Multi-position eligible, and if you're in a left-right center league, he has been primo because he's left, right, and first base eligible. He has been an excellent addition. And for anyone out there who's having great pains as I am, if you are in the rare position of rostering Ohtani and Bryce Eldridge, and your league makes you have 10 starts in a position to carry over, Bryce Eldridge has 8 starts at first base. And when Devers refused to move out of the lineup or whatever, get pulled the other day for a pinch runner, I was like, please bench him for 2 games and let Eldridge start so we can get to 10 first base appearances so I can start using Bryce Eldridge. I have not yet put the smoking hot Bryce Eldridge in one of my dynasty leagues lineups once because I got Ohtani there.
Wait, are you talking smoking hot as in he's a very handsome man, or are we talking about his athletic performance?
All of it.
I want to clarify around here.
This league is based on both looks and fantasy line, and it's double fantasy.
Tyler O'Neill was the first pick. He was 1-1.
Bader was a close 1-2.
If you're going a shirtless league, Tyler O'Neill wins every day.
Tom Murphy also ripped man. I guess, Sam, maybe you know that. Maybe you've seen those muscles in person.
He is. He's awkwardly wiry and super strong.
Yeah.
He's got big neck muscle. Tom Murphy. I love Tom Murphy when he was a Mariner, but that is such an odd dude to look at. Yeah. No offense. I'm not trying to hate on his looks, but.
So I think with Willie Castro playing up recently, I do think there's going to be nowhere for Tyler Freeman going forward because you get Moniak back. McCarthy's been playing very well. other than the fact that Freeman can run all over the place, but you got Johnson. I mean, I guess you could do Johnston and Freeman in a platoon situation, but Castro's playing well enough that he really should be getting almost full-time at bats, and has been, just never at one position, and he's a switch hitter. So, yeah.
But how many people are waiting for the Rockies to just Rocky this situation? I mean, seriously.
I'm terrified of it.
Yeah.
Like, and we're also waiting on Charlie Condon, which means there should be a TJ Rumsfeld.
That's going to be another issue.
Somebody's in the works for. There should be they should actually be able to be active and improve their team by doing that like addition by subtraction thing of we'll take the like AA ground ball pitcher who's like great at ground balls for our TJ Rumsfeld who's, you know, hitting really well, or, you know, some combo where they can make themselves better. And then Charlie Condon gets to come up and something, you know, like.
Yeah. So the one thing I will say, one guy who's not going to be in this mess is Benny Montgomery. Benny Montgomery, for those of you who remember, was a pretty highly touted draft pick just a few years back. Made a lot of waves in like the pandemic year when he signed a whole bunch of things with funny signatures, like Benny and the Jets on his first Bauman cards. He had got to be well known for that. He has chosen to retire from baseball. I don't know if Montgomery ever got to AA, but good guy. Followed him on Instagram for a little bit and was trying to convince him to come on the show and fulfill Robbie's desire to have Rocky's prospects on the show. But I couldn't convince him.
That is love, Robbie. After all the grief that we give this man about Braves stuff, if he can pull that off, I don't think that we could have ever given him any grief whatsoever about anything that he talked about Braves.
I mean, Chase Dollander's got a lot of free time. Let's all start following him.
Well, to be fair, I think I've been on Red with Victor Vodnik for about 2 years. When I was covering the Braves, he actually talked with me, and now it's like, no, not so much. But you know, it is what it is.
Okay, well, let's move on. I appreciate all the Rocky talk tonight. We do have a long list of news, so if anyone wants to interrupt, go ahead. Otherwise, we'll keep rolling. The White Sox have this is a bunch of like rehab assignment stuff. The White Sox have Kyle Teal on a rehab assignment. They also have Noah Schultz on a rehab. Washington has DJ Hers on a rehab.
That one's a little interesting just because their rotation has been okay. I mean, better than I thought it would be for darn sure. But they figured out that if they put an opener in there, Miles Michaelis is actually serviceable.
Except for last week when I finally put him in the lineup and Sam shunned the idea the week before. And I'm like, I don't know. And then he just got shellacked. But yes, it's true. But also they're not in a position, I think, where they wouldn't make a spot if Hers was, through 30 days or whatever that is. So interestingly enough, Mick Abel, who was apparently going to start on Sunday, got shut down after he threw a 20 or 22 pitch bullpen on Friday. I was trying really hard to find somebody that had video on it just to see what had happened. Cause sometimes everything looks fine. And then they just say something, something's odd. And they're like, no problem. We'll take a breath. But apparently there was something that occurred within the bullpen and he stopped throwing, not that he threw the bullpen and then said something was up after. I'm terrified of this because he was supposed to come back. I obviously for fantasy purposes need him. For real life purposes, I just want him to have a season here so that he can establish himself, because we know how quickly it'll get
trading him in 2 different leagues. I had trade offers for him in 2 different leagues that I was really close to pulling the trigger on, and just wanted to see how this week went. And then that happens on Friday and it's like, oh, well, maybe I should have just taken that trade earlier, but oh, well.
Chad's saying that I was in a time machine with my notes here. I didn't have a note that was older than Saturday, but if rehab assignments are coming and ending within a week, as Kyle Teal is apparently back up, that's excellent. I'll take it. I know I had Austin Wells written in as on a rehab, and then I had adjusted it to he's back. So I've got that one, Chad. Just wait. Randy Rosarena is on the IL. So there's some extra playing time for Seattle. Austin Wells is back. Hey, there it is. We only had to wait a little bit. Cody Sanga also came back, and I think he was okay Sunday. I can't remember. Didn't matter in the league that I roster him. I was already toast. Miguel Andujar, who a lot of people were far more excited this year than the last 5 years. He's back. He had a decent year with the A's and then signed with San Diego for I think $3 million. He's back. JP Crawford to the IL. Sam, do you know the dealio with this? Is this just like a pulled up lame situation? We're not sure what's up.
I missed the notes on why he went back down to the IL.
Yeah. Okay. I also was unsure of that. Griffin Conine is back. We're all excited. If you're just me, Chris Morel went on the DFA wire here. And sadly, Liam Hicks, the catcher first base MVP of Miami, also to the IL. Yuri Perez, who the jury is out on him after his BS in Toronto, including that injury. He's on a rehab assignment. So I guess that's good for the general fantasy baseball community, but he was supposed to be like a next level guy. And since he's been back and I've been watching what's up, he's not, and he just doesn't seem to be, he's so cocky. He's like peak Chris Sale. Chris Sale was cocky at his peak. And that's how he acts. And he's, 450 ERA type guy. So
you're saying he's slicing up jerseys?
It's hard to root for him. Oh, that's right. Forgot about that. Oh my God.
I love Yuri Perez. I love that confidence that he has. He's back up to 96 to 98.
But it was just
early. Like, this is way more aggressive than I thought that they would do with Yuri. But
yeah, okay. It's just that this is year 2 back of it. That's all. I just obviously going to the IL, I was terrified of what happened, but seeing how that all played out, where he was being a dick for seemingly no reason, and then Toronto media was like, "What's going on?" And all the Blue Jay players were like, that was not a continuation of anything. That was him kind of starting unprompted something new. Luckily, he got hurt, so there was no continuation.
They did not call up Augustin to take Liam Hicks' spot. That went to Brian Navarreto. So I guess obviously a backup. They're planning to keep Joe Mack getting most of the at-bats. That was what I was curious on there, because Mack has been about 50-50 with Hicks. So that's kind of an interesting thing, because he should be getting 3/4 of the at-bats here while Hicks is out, I would say. Also, Max Meyer went on the bereavement list today. So
okay.
3-4 days that he'll be gone, but I think he had just started. So it probably is one of those where he'll be gone on the bereavement list and be back for his next start. So
okay. So he might just be gone for this series or whenever it is. Yeah. And Christopher Morel being toast helps Griffin Conine just to have a spot to hang out without going in the field too much. And hopefully he comes back and hits. Texas, Jack Leiter to the IL. I was really confused by this one. The A's demoted, Alika Williams, who was like overachieving offensively, and then they promoted Joey Meneses, whatever, who like 4 years ago was interesting for about 3 weeks.
Yeah, isn't he like 38 at this point?
I think he is in his 30s. So sure.
Just so you know, one of the first articles I ever did on the minor leagues was in 2016. And it was on Joey Meneses, and the only pictures of him at that time in the Brave system, he was in the Brave system. The only pictures of him were of him pitching in Mexico.
Oh, okay.
He pitched on the Mexican or in the Winter League in Mexico, and he was kind of a two-way guy, but only played first base or technically outfield at that time for the Braves. So I thought, well. So this is a long time that he has been kind of bouncing around and never quite cracked all the way through.
It did take 19 minutes for you to bring up the Braves. That's pretty good, Ben.
Where is he going to play for Oakland? Of all the positions?
Like DH. I don't know.
Well, and then there's Soderstrom. Soderstrom's not going to be. Is he in the outfield all the time now?
And
Meneses has played some outfield this year in AAA. So, okay. And he did but that's just it. He's passable maybe there. Like, he's not good in the outfield. So makes me kind of wonder if they're looking to hammer away some at bats from Lawrence Butler and some of those guys because they're not happy with them.
So with Rooker to the IL, Butler was almost a 400 hitter last week.
That's just it.
20 plus at bats, but he thank goodness has like not turned his season around, but had like a stretch. So hopefully he can get some confidence with himself. Somebody who could use some confidence could be Adley Rushman. He's to the IL again.
Got a conk to the head. Concussion
This
IL.
is, oh, is that what his is?
Yeah.
So he's got a minimum time. Hopefully that's not, any more severe. Also not needing a severe lengthened IL stay is Mike Soroka, who has been very serviceable this year. And it looks like Cole Drake will be the one taking that spot, which we'll get to when we pop to promotions. Jordan Lawler also hits the IL. Unfortunate. Toronto making a move a couple days too early. They've acquired Luis Urias from Arizona for cash. If they would have waited, there were better options out on. There's better options on the wire now. But whatever. That's who they've got. Houston acquired Cameron Cisneros from the Cubs for right-handed pitcher Jaden Murray. Murray was DFA'd last week. Also breaking news, as Chad is saying it. This hits me personally. Nick Madrigal was DFA'd. He's a 300 hitter, and we all know it. High contact. He was sent out. Trout is to the IL. Christian Moore has been recalled. I'm losing my faith in the Angels guys in their ability to manage big leaguers. Now, Nick Madrigal to the Blue Jays, that's a lock, right? If he goes, I get the jersey. That's how this works.
That's the rule.
That's the rule. So I want to see that. All right, Ben, get ready. Pittsburgh traded Joey Bart to Atlanta for Hunter Stratton. These are both injured players.
Joey Bart's been playing this week. And in fact, they actually just DFA'd Sandy Leon today.
Absolutely, Mike. Ask your question again since Ben refused in the group chat.
What? I didn't refuse anything. Anyway, but Bart played this weekend. Actually had one hell of a tag on a play. Worked well and defensively, but I think he gave them enough confidence that they were willing to let Sandy Leon go, and Sandy Leon has got like 90% of his ball strike challenges correct this year. So that was actually kind of a nice asset to have as a backup catcher, to have somebody who was really good with that and good defensively. But Bart already took a ball almost out of the yard, and so he's shown that there is something there. But he had a huge contingent there. You know, he went to Georgia Tech. There was a big contingent at the game, his first game there.
He is a great 4A catcher. I cannot wait to see him hit 200 with 2 home runs and like
he's an absolutely streaky hitter.
Oh,
but a very quality backup type of catcher. But the problem is he hits well enough for streaks that makes you think, oh, this guy could start, and then you get too much expectation out of him.
When he was in San
for a
Francisco,
catcher's top half of the league, guys.
Stop. Catchers actually hit these days. No, he was in Everett 6-7 years ago, and he hit a ball that I don't think's landed. Like, he has legit raw game power, but
hasn't been able to make.
I'm not afraid of him, and I'm not going to roster him. So,
yeah, you know who we should all roster? Just kidding. It's too late in all the leagues I'm in. I already do. Patrick Sandoval, guys. He's back on another rehab assignment. Get ready, Red Sox fans.
He will be ready September 3rd.
Oh, my God. I'll take it.
Give or take 3 or 4 weeks.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. Let's bring this along slowly post All-Star break. Chase DeLauner from Cleveland to the IL. That's unfortunate. Max Scherzer back to the IL. Unfortunate. Colorado demoted Seth Halverson. I'm only mentioning that because I know 2 years ago he was thought of as the future closer there, and then he had a rocky last year. Get it? And leveled off this year with his MLB time, but I think this had more to do with needing some arms for some reason, and he's the guy who can ride the bus because he's got options.
So is this Max Scherzer and Justin Verlander's last year in the majors?
I can't imagine. I mean, $3 million to go back to Toronto for this unfinished business thing made sense.
Same thing with Verlander, although Verlander was more going back where it all began and getting a chance to pitch long enough to get 300. But he's at 266. He has won. I was just going to see this here in the last 3 years. He has won all of 22 games, and he still needs 34 in order and he's 43 this year. Like,
Scherzer got his 3,000th or whatever the K was. I forget what the number. 3,000's got to be wrong, but whatever it is, he got the K number that he may have been like looking to get this year. He's constantly, last 4 years he's had prolonged IL stints. Going back to Toronto was, I think, the only realistic option for him, outside of Colorado, or whatever, one of those kind of throwaway situations. So I can't imagine he's going to want to go back, go somewhere else next year, or try to do that next year. And Toronto hopefully wouldn't DFA him. They'd let him phantom IL his way into postseason if they're there or something. I can't see teams wanting to keep going. Like, the track record of missing games for Max is just, it's really long now and he's not a playoff performer where you get that little period of dominance. He's a pitcher. He's a regular kind of pitcher now.
So Mike's asking,
I love that. Mike, such a good try. Speaking of catcher,
Briseño is hurt, and last I heard.
But who do you value more, Ben? Who do you value more?
Depends on the league.
It's a fantasy baseball league.
Well, yeah, that's just it. There's a lot of things to that as far as I think Arquette is a guy who can move quickly and should be playing in Miami next year at some point. But I've also seen what they've done in their infield, and I'm a little concerned that he's not that guy on offense to where he's going to force them to put him in the lineup every day, at least not right away.
Oh.
And so it's going to be one of those where he gets dinked around the way Otto Lopez did, the way that, all these guys in their middle infield, Xavier Edwards, all these guys get dinked around a whole bunch in Miami and then play their way into finally having a full-time spot. So, but Briseño's got to get healthy. That's just, the power is fun.
And is he more first base, or is he still catcher heavy?
Tip.
Oh my God, he paid. That's amazing.
That's awesome.
We accept Venmo. I believe a Cash App. It's on the bottom. It's on the bottom. Anyway, so Drake Baldwin's back, which is great. Do we just expect him to continue doing what he's been doing and then headed to the All-Star game?
He did hit a home run in his very first at bat.
As you would expect.
Until he does different. He's right that bus.
Best fantasy catcher?
Really?
No.
I'm trying to hurt one of you.
Performance this year, yes. By expectation for the rest of the year, I don't know. This would be a hell of a step for him to do this all the way through the year. If you would have told me that he was doing this 3 years from now and he had developed into this, 100%. But this is a big, big step forward already. I have a feeling there's a leveling off coming at some point here this summer. But
yeah, and at catcher, Cal Raleigh the last 3 years, not counting this year, has hit 130 home runs and has 35 stolen bases, and hit 240, 250 during that time. I'm not. Come on, Robbie, you're killing me.
He doesn't shake hands. He doesn't shake hands with other players.
Him and Randy are friends again. It's definitely Drake Baldwin, Shea Langoliers. They definitely have taken a step up this year and have shown that top tier of catcher is not just Cal Raleigh and then a bunch of players after him.
Yeah, Hicks too. Okay, and then the Angels, sadly, Grayson Rodriguez to the IL. I don't need Grayson Rodriguez to be an ace. I just don't want him to become like a Brent Honeywell where his body's not going to let him stay healthy. And I feel like that's we're on that cusp here.
Yeah.
I really hope this is a separate injury, nothing shoulder related. I forget what it is.
It sounds really, really terrible to say it, but this is really starting to look like another former Orioles prospect. And Mike's going to hate me for this and maybe take back his money, but it's looking a lot like Dylan Bundy. Guy who came up with all sorts of talent, all sorts of possibility, and then just hasn't really been able to be healthy enough to do it for a year.
Yeah, that's an interesting comp. I think that he is he is doomed to in 4 or 5 years. We're going to see him on some team we didn't expect, and he's going to be a middle reliever.
Right. I hope that's not the case. We've seen it with a lot of guys, though, where they have promise, they're highly touted, and they can't get a stretch, and then injuries take over. But in order for that to happen, they have to be promoted, and then sometimes when they don't perform, they get demoted, and that's where we are headed to next. Arizona demoted Ryan Waldschmidt. That was a long time ago in baseball.
We were
but
talking that last week a little bit, but hadn't been officially. Yeah.
Yep. Cooper Pratt is now up, and that is exciting, I suppose. In even more exciting news, which I think I'm more excited about this than Ben is, Atlanta promoted Brewer Hicklin, the master of baseballs, who outside of, I think, last year, 2025, when he took a break from hitting 30 home runs, has been an excellent minor league power hitter. Milwaukee, I think, was the team he got to break in with at 27, and he only has 12 at bats right now to his name, but he's got.
I swore he played this last weekend, but apparently he did not, because he had 0 stats for this year so far.
Yeah, he's just getting a paycheck at the moment. But he can hit if he gets in the lineup, unlike Moises Ballesteros, who was demoted.
Oh, man.
Which is, I think, a failure of the Cubs coaching staff to not make this work and to have waited so long to do it as well. But we do see this happen from time to time.
Well, the Cubs have had one of the craziest seasons that I can remember from an outsider. They've had 2 different 10-game winning streaks this season.
Yeah. Along with 10 or 15 game losing streak.
Like
that's like the mid-odds Blue Jays who would pull that crap. They had a bunch of guys that were good and a bunch of guys that were terrible. They'd go on a hot streak, and then they'd like internalize the fact that they're not as good as they think they are, and then lose all the games they'd made back. But Ballesteros, this sucks, and I hope that they put him at catcher in AAA and are like, you are going to play both sides of the ball, and we're going to see if that helps you. Like Edwin Encarnacion, I've talked about this before, was struggling mightily at third base. He brought it to the plate, lack of confidence. Michael does want the money back. And then they moved him over to first base, where it was seemingly easier for him to pick it up on, and he was better. But he also hated when they would DH him. And maybe with Ballesteros, he's just too young to just hit. Like he's not. Let him play both sides of the ball, or put him in AAA.
Learn what your niche is, and that's, I think, it takes a guy a while to learn their niche and be okay with, this is who I am, and this is how I show up every day. That was a big part of it for David Ortiz. He got DFA'd. He got DFA'd. The Twins non-tendered him.
Yep.
And everyone says, well, geez, that was a terrible trade. No, he wasn't traded. Or, geez, why didn't they sign him? Nobody signed him. He was non-tendered, and he was signed for, I think, $1 million to be a platoon DH with Jeremy Giambi at the time. And was willing to go in and say, you know what? I'm not going to be a first baseman anymore. I got to accept that. And because that was always the thing. It was he or Doug McCabich. Well, Dougie Baseball was all about the defense, and Ortiz was the guy who beat the crap out of the baggie in the Metrodome because he hit doubles off of that thing all the damn time.
All the time.
You get him out of Minnesota, well, suddenly he can hit everywhere. And that was one of those things. You get him where that stupid baggie isn't there. He was pounding balls out of the field in Boston, and plus put in the time to really work on his pitch recognition and stuff. And they used to say that he would sit on the top of the dugout and be talking to guys next to him and calling out what the pitch was that just hit the catcher's mitt.
Oh, yeah. Interesting.
I mean, that's that level of you accept your role and you become an expert at it. That's how you do it.
I think that's a great way to look at that, because it is so difficult. How many of these kids come in where they weren't the best player on their team, where they weren't like,
right?
The ability to humble yourself in this game is a skill. To your point, that I've been told my whole life that I should be doing this. I've always been the starter at this position. I've always, there's nothing mentally about this that feels good. And you're like, no, you're here. Embrace what you have while you're here. Like, you will create a bigger role. If you hit like David Ortiz, they don't keep you off the field, right? Like they don't. You do what you need to do, and
there are very few guys
for grinders
on this planet. There are very few guys in Major League Baseball who were not, by leaps and bounds, the best player on their high school team. You know, that's just, and probably the best player on their college team. And you get into the guys that actually make the major leagues, all of a sudden, like I've been the best all the way along and I hit AA, and all of a sudden I'm just a guy. And now I got to figure out how to do that. Well, then you get to the majors, or some of these guys, they breeze through the minors, they get to the majors and they're like, oh God, this is tougher. Like Andrew Painter.
That leads us to the next guy, Andrew Painter down. And thank goodness, everybody, am I right? Collectively, let's all say it. Bryce Wilson, he's up, guys.
Been DFA'd already.
Oh, son of a bitch.
He came up, he made one start, and they DFA'd him already.
Damn it.
Yeah. Bryce Wilson.
I just wanted so bad for him. New York also had the one and done Elmer Rodriguez, although not DFA'd, up, sent back down. I don't know if that was like a rain out 27th man or whatever, but he was up and down quickly. Interesting one here. Remember Khalil Watson, everybody? Remember how he may or may not have had an attitude and thought he was the best because he'd always been the best, as we were just talking about before? Well, he actually is having a good season at AAA, and Cleveland's called him up. Not noted because I knew you guys wouldn't want to talk about it. Petey Halpin's also back. Okay, guys? Petey Halpin's back up. We don't need to get into it. I know you just get all sensitive. So
he can make Brewer Hicklin look like he's playing a lot. Is that why Petey Halpin's up?
Yeah. Yeah.
They both can go for the best looking guy on the sideline.
It'll be great. It'll be great. Texas has Jose Corniel. Yeah, nailed it. Corniell for anybody out there who likes.
If they ever make him a full-time reliever, people should know his name. I don't know that he's got enough to get through 2 times through a lineup without a little bit of something. But man, that stuff one time through is just wicked. And he could be such a good, like 6th, 7th inning pitcher. Or I don't know if he's truly got closer stuff, but he's got good enough stuff that he could probably close for a bad team.
Probably, but this is the problem with Texas, and I keep waiting for Emiliano Teodo.
Oh, yeah.
To come up. Like that guy 3 years ago at first pitch, we were talking about him, and they were like, we can't wait for him to fail as a starter. This guy is going to be so electric in the bullpen. The first part has happened. He is a failed starter. He is not going to be a starter. I can't wait for him to take that next turn. I still have him rostered in.
It is
a deep
insane to me the way that Teodo comes in as a reliever and is a 8 to 10% walk guy. When he is a freaking starter, he's a 12 to 15% or worse walk guy. Like, I don't get why it is that he can control the ball better in the bullpen, but it makes sense that he should be a freaking reliever just because he pitches better. And
his stuff is electric. Like his stuff isn't everything. You need to be able to locate that pitch. So understood that he doesn't have both sides of that coin figured out. That shit is on fire. He throws some really nasty stuff. And so that's the Texas reliever I keep waiting for. And I feel like a broken record, like Teodo, and it's just, he can't.
Well, who was the other guy in Texas? Baumler? Is that the guy who earlier in the year he made the roster and then got hurt? Or am I off on my teams here? I got him in a league. I could check into it later during the commercial break. Anyway, as we discussed earlier, Cole Drake has been promoted. I believe it is an official promotion, but the start has not been made official. So he's up. Chad Dallas, who came up when the Jays needed an arm a couple of weeks ago, he's returned. This one's more exciting for everybody out there who likes off-season hype and previous season out of nowhere dudes. Junior Perez, who was with the A's. I don't know why, but they got rid of him. The White Sox picked him up. He has been promoted. He's already hit a dinger. Very exciting. Happy for him. He wasn't having the greatest repeat season at AAA with the A's, so they sent him out. And White Sox, who, as we said last week, it's really fun that they're just promoting guys. So here's another guy, and I'm sure he's a stopgapper, but you never know, right? If they keep hitting, you're not going to get rid of them. The Angels gave Ryan Johnson another start, and he immediately gave up 5 runs in the first inning. And like a ding dong, I put him in one league just because, like, why not? And then he settled down, and I'm like, oh, the line's not as bad. It's not 45 ERA tonight now.
Rostering an Angels pitcher. I can't wait for the Reed Detmers experience to become the Gomber experience sometime in August, where Reed Detmers gives up 12 runs in 3 innings. Can't wait for that.
But yeah, so Johnson's back.
That love Reed Detmers
Ryan
out there.
Johnson, Caden Dana,
yeah. There's a sadly it's a growing list, and I don't like it. And you know, the Manoah experiment came and went quickly for the Angels, luckily. But Johnson, they've got more faith in. Again, we thought a year ago when they brought him all the way down to like high A, and we're letting him kind of reset, that was a good thing. They've scrapped that plan, and they're going right back to full throttle. But instead of letting him come in the 7th. They're like, just start the game. Let's just see what you can do. Anyway, Charles McAdoo, who was up with Toronto a couple weeks ago, he's back down now with, I think it was Varsho that came off, and maybe either way, there were 2 guys that came back and he got sent down. Lenyon Sosa, I think, was injured, but they still sent it. Doesn't matter. San Francisco promoted Carson Wisenhunt. Remember that guy? Anyway, Angels pitcher Brett Carey, St. Louis RP Max Rajic, nailed it. San Diego promoted Blake Hunt, which again frustrates me. Why are we not getting updates on Campusano? I don't know what's going on. I can't find an update on what he's doing. I don't believe has hit a rehab assignment yet. I looked in my week ago outdated news, didn't find it. Anyway, Detroit. Yeah, and he was doing well.
Okay.
And I would love to recommend him as a pickup if he got on a rehab assignment.
What was it, 3-4 years ago? He was a super hot name.
He was such a slow burn. I think I drafted him in a league in like 2018 to 2019 off season, and then dropped him the next year. And then he became the hot, like number 100 kind of end of that list type guy. Anyway, Trey Cruz, who I believe was like a 4th or 5th round 2020 guy. He's debuted now with the Tigers. So their draft, I think all their guys may have debuted in that one, that 5-round draft. And then Arizona also promoted Jose Cabrera, relief pitcher. Boom. Now you know everything, everybody.
Are we ready?
Let's add. What was I going to look at? What was I going to look? I said I was look at something during the break.
I honestly don't remember.
Something on OnlyFans, I'm sure.
I wish.
I think it was Texas relievers. Oh, it was whether Carter Baumgartler.
Oh, yes, which I see Chad did say, yeah.
And Chad did respond to that. So,
yeah,
all right, here's our ad.
Pleasant-tasting Ricola is blended from organically grown Swiss alpine herbs and other natural ingredients. Ricola, natural herb cough drops from Switzerland. Ricola! Now available and sugar-free, naturally.
I have a real problem with that ad all of a sudden, because at first I loved it. It took me back to the 90s. But the guy who does the singing or the he's like Ricola, and then the lady who's advertising it calls it Ricola. Like,
yeah,
what is going on here?
Yep,
get your shit together. Like, I can't follow that. My brain is this big.
So, quick update, because before we head into our topic du jour, Oklahoma, who has just been a freaking on a run during this College World Series, they are up 6-1 in the top of the 4th inning in the championship game tonight. So winner go home game in the championship. It was it's a double elimination, and they've each won one, and so tonight decides it all. And right now Oklahoma's kind of kicking the crap out of the better team. So, but okay, 2024 draft.
Go Oklahoma.
Yeah, go Oklahoma.
Yep.
Go Sooners.
Have you guys hit the link so you can see the first round, the 39 dudes?
I have.
If you
I
haven't,
have that
show
up on
notes, Sam.
Baseball Reference.
Okay, as long as you got the guys.
The tracker. I just pulled up the tracker. Bazana, Burns, Condon, Kurtz. That one.
You got
that was a good draft.
Yep. So,
oh my God, this
I was
draft
just going to say,
is stacked.
Let's have a look here, and let's head on to Negative Town, because we can see, and we'll tell everybody, there's a lot of really good fantasy names out there. There's also a lot of guys who have already done solid MLB production. There's a lot of guys with high trade value. And then there's also guys who seem to have almost churned it out in our Cam Smith. So what on this list stands out the most to you as far as like the top 15 guys? I think there's enough within that top 15. Take a moment to think what stands out. I'll just rhyme off the names, and then Sam, you can lead us off with your thoughts on this. This, again, 2 draft classes ago for everybody, as we are slowly working our way towards the 2026 draft. 1-1 was Bazana. He's up. 1-2, Burns with Cincinnati, been up. Charlie Condon at 3 with the Rockies. We're here and we're waiting. Nick Kurtz, last year's AL Rookie of the Year. Hagen Smith allegedly was going to start and is now injured. Minor league injury. Not sure what's up with that. Jack Caglione, we've seen him. JJ Weatherholt, we've seen him. Christian Moore, we've seen him more than once. Connor Griffin, big extension, saving the Pirates organization. Whole fan base loves him now. He's up. Seaver King, Bryce Rainier with Detroit. Braden Montgomery traded to the White Sox. We've seen him. James Tibb III. How did he end up from the Giants to the Dodgers?
Giants to the Red Sox with Raffy Devers deal. And then from the Red Sox to the Dodgers for Dustin May.
That's got to hurt. That's got to hurt the front office of the Giants. Cam Smith was 14th by the Cubs, and then promptly traded in the offseason to Houston. And then Jurangelo Singente, who went to that's what I said. That's your West Coast bias. And then he was traded from the Mariners to the Cardinals. What was that deal, Sam?
Brendan Donovan.
That was Donovan.
Brendan Donovan one. Yeah. And given the season we had, I wish we hadn't made that deal, but right on.
Sam, what stands out to you here with the top 15?
Well, the Angels angeled. They drafted somebody in the first round who is in majors and isn't really. I maybe you guys have a different feeling about Christian Moore, but I don't feel like Christian Moore is a needle mover like JJ Weatherholt or Bryce Rainier or Tibbs III, or you didn't go down to 18, Theo Gillen with the Tampa Bay Rays, Carson Finch right after that with the Mets.
I thought
then Savage, who was in a World Series Game 7. Like I stopped at 15 because I thought there was so much within that as far as like franchise players.
That's the first pick that I don't really like, and I hate that I have an Angels bias to begin with, because I'm not trying to look for something and go, oh, look at that, confirms my bias. That guy sucks.
But it was amongst, I think also, it's year 5 or 6 that they had kind of done that, leading back to pitchers, as far as like move them really fast. I think.
They want to draft major league player talent.
It's until Tibbs 6 picks later that anyone gets less of a signing bonus than Moore.
Right. Oh, they paid more.
Not as to what they did not give more. They gave more less than $5 million in a slot where I think it was like a 7 or like an $8 million.
6.5. 6.5. He got 4,997. Yeah. Yeah. That's an interesting one.
Connor Griffin was right there. Bryce Rainier was right there.
What I'll say is Connor Griffin and Bryce Rainier were like this as far as value going into that draft. And Connor Griffin took all of the what do I need to work on and did it and excelled at it. And Bryce Rainier has stumbled on a lot of that and then been hurt. Mm-hmm. There's absolutely flashes of Bryce Rainier's game, but he has stumbled on that. The one that really makes it interesting is Seaver King, who is stumbled hard and then figured out that, okay, I can't get by on pure athleticism. I got to go and figure out how to play this game too. And he's really taken strides this year.
And I thought King was supposed to be kind of with Weatherholt as far as like, these should be guys who can kind of attack a level and, like move through it, like successful college players. And then as you mentioned, Ben, like King has not. He struggled out of the gate and then dropped off a lot. And Rainier got hyped heavy, and then, like you said, through performance and injury, although he had that, like, whatever it was, 56 games or 56 about whatever it was of like excellence that held him for like a full extra year. And I've seen him traded a lot in a couple dynasty leagues I'm in that are active. And I think he's a popular name because one guy is not wanting to get burned on the fallout, and the other guy is willing to pay a decent price but consider it a buy low. So I think there's a lot of like love and fear within Bryce Rainier's
for
fantasy
15
value.
picks to have more than half of them 2 years later already in the majors. That's impressive. That also tells you how college loaded this draft was. That was a big part of this draft. Is everyone talked about how, okay, you have Rainier and you have Griffin, but other than those two, you really shouldn't be talking about a high schooler in the top 15. Maybe not even in the top 25, and there wasn't another one in the top 15. But we'll get into some guys who
Orlando and Payne.
Orlando was
PJ Orlando with Miami
picked. Obviously,
and signed for less. He was a 4.7 slot, signed 3.4. That's Miami doing, but Miami also has within this time frame has a history of drafting pitchers early and sometimes doing the double tap of pitchers. So this must have been a move that some scout really got a lot to say on.
And Savage like all the time in mocks that I did.
Jeez,
because he seemed to fall, like, if he wasn't going to get picked like 10, 11 right there, Savage seemed to be just perfectly sitting there for the Mariners or for the Marlins, and they didn't pull that trigger, and that really surprised me.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. So 16, as we mentioned, Orlando. 17 was Braylon Payne with Milwaukee. 18, Theo Gillen with the Rays. 19 was the Mets, Carson Benji. Then Savage 20th to Toronto, who we know he has been in a World Series. Twins, Kalen Culpepper. Baltimore, Vance Honeycutt. The Dodgers did one of the things every so often the Dodgers do. They went with a high schooler and Kellen Lindsay. Then a team from, Georgia? They're from Atlanta. They picked Ken Caminiti. Then San Diego did something fun. They picked a monster in Cash Mayfield at 25. 26, the Yankees drafted Ben Hess, which immediately meant every person in your fantasy league that is a Yankee fan was like, I'll trade back in the first round. I'm going to get my guy. 27th, the Phillies took Dante Nori. 28th, Astros Walker Jenkins. 29. Oh, this is when the Diamondbacks had 3 picks within 6, I think it is.
Yeah.
So their first one was Slade Caldwell, an 18-year-old high school outfielder. Malcolm Moore was the smart catcher of the class, picked by Texas. 30th. I think a lot of mocks had him going to Toronto at the time.
Yeah.
31st, Arizona was back up. They took Ryan Waldschmidt, who we have seen debut. 32nd, Baltimore took Griffel Farrell, who's a shortstop out of Virginia. 22nd, the Twins picked again Kyle DeBarge, a 20-year-old, almost 21-year-old shortstop. Milwaukee came back with Blake Burke. I don't know. Yeah. Tennessee lefty slugger. Then JD Dix was picked by Arizona, another high schooler. So they went high school, college, high school. The college guys debuted. Caldwell and Dix are still within the system. Then Braylon Doughty was Cleveland's pick at 36. 37, Pittsburgh took another high schooler, Levi Sterling. 38, the Rockies did what the Rockies do, and they got themselves Brody Brecht. And at 39, Washington took a catcher again, who was for some reason associated with Toronto, Caleb Loma Vita. Within this, Ben, I remember talking about the catchers here, and it was it 3? What's the one I'm thinking? Oh, Janik is the other one I'm forgetting. Those were like the 3 dudes that were going to go, within the first 2 rounds, and they all went the first 40 picks. So they were interesting. But here, is there anybody else that you think has slow burned or maybe flamed? Like Cash Mayfield, it was supposed to slow burn. Kellen Lindsay, I couldn't tell you what he's done. Like, I haven't heard boo of them, but they've had so many other guys that have exploded within the Dodgers system.
Yeah. The biggest slop here is absolutely Vance Honeycutt. And that is a really sad situation because Honeycutt defensively is an all-world guy. And you kind of thought all he really needed to do was be an average hitter, and this guy had a major league future, and he can't even come close to that right now. He's striking out all the time. Kellen Lindsley this year has only played 19 games. He missed a lot of last year too, so I think there's been some injury stuff, but when he is on the field, so far 51 games, 17 steals, 6 home runs, and a 319, 413, 486 line when he is actually on the field. So there's some legit skill there. He just hasn't been healthy to show any of it. And that's, I mean, at this point, he's 20 years old and he's trying to fight with guys that got drafted a year after him, let alone the guys that are going to be coming into the system here in a month. So
yeah, I was just thinking to myself, is his value about to tank because he hasn't played enough, despite the fact you've just described an excellent, although brief, stat line? And also he's in an organization in which guys pop early. We all find out about them and they clog, as we've talked about. It's almost like they're a bad organization to be good and young in, because there's already so many of those guys that when they do have another draft class, you can't stick around A and high A, because that's where
you can't develop.
Four or five guys are going to go that get drafted high.
So the big thing that I think is interesting here with this group is how many of them have taken this, like 16 through the rest of the first round. How many of them have taken a big step this year? Okay. A guy like Theo Gillen went, I mean, even just like Theo Gillen was really good, and he is a legit like stud, like top 20, maybe top 10 prospect right now in the entire game. But a guy like a good example here is the Twins recently brought up, I think DeBarg, whatever. He is now in AAA, I believe.
Okay.
No, he's still in AA. Okay, that was a heavy rumor, but defensively, he has been very sharp. I think he is going to be one of those guys that is a complete 3 true outcome sort of guy, but doing it as like a middle infield utility guy, which is a really interesting profile to have. A guy that might hit you 25, 30 home runs, but he'll hit 200 and get on base 340. So yeah, figure, that's gonna, the Adam Dunn line from a second baseman is kind of an interesting thought process. But guys like Malcolm Moore really struggled out of the gate and has taken off this year as a prospect. Dante Nori, same thing. A lot of really positive things about him this year, where he really struggled out of the gate. So that's one of the things I'm noticing with this particular group of players is a lot of them kind of stumbled, and they're starting to hit their stride now this year, which is also part of why we have to be very careful about how quickly we evaluate a class. That's why we're doing this right now, to have this conversation of, okay, hey, this is what happens with a draft class. As you're looking at a draft class, there's going to be guys that kind of screw up, whatever. But we're only 2 years out, really. I mean, most of these guys are on their second full season of minor league ball at this point. And some of them not even on that because of injury or whatever. So that's first round. The thing about this draft that I really find interesting, there's a lot of talent still in the second round that you need to know about. But it hasn't really yet hit the majors.
I mean, round 2, Ben, ends at 74. That's Ryan Johnson of the Angels, who we've talked about with a solid shellacking already.
But I would say you have had some hop up already. I mean, Gage Jump is up.
Yeah, he was 73rd. He's been up with just going in reverse order. There's a lot of interesting names, especially high school pitchers. Detroit taking Ethan Scheffelbang. I remember Luke Holman being referred to as kind of like a steady SP4 type guy. Cincinnati is where he went. Just walking back through this round. Billy Amick, we talked a lot about when we were doing our mock. As
Desan Hill is still one of my favorite guys. Numbers have been a little bit off this year, but the talent is obvious.
Seattle,
Billy Amick,
Seattle had a flyer on a guy. If Sam's able to sort his intranet out, we could set aside a minute.
What a draft pick that's going to be. Yeah.
55th overall.
Get him back over. Yeah, that would be great.
And then San Diego double tapped the high school lefties. They went with Boston Bateman, who has since been traded to Baltimore. And I think he's been fine. He's been a slow burn.
Yeah.
Should be a slow burn. Bryce Cunningham had a solid year last year within the Yankees organization. He was 53rd overall. Not sure where he is this year because I ended up trading him last year in the 2 leagues I had. And then the 50th pick, Ben, Peyton Toll with the Red Sox. He's beautiful up. Pick. He's in. And yeah, it's looking good.
Tyson Lewis has taken, there's, we're getting back into that. Guys have taken a step forward. Tyson Lewis this year has taken a big step forward. An interesting one is Cole Mathis with the Cubs was kind of seen as a money-saving pick, and he has just done nothing but produce, but when he's healthy. And that's the problem has been he now has 310 plate appearances so far in his entire minor league career.
Oh, okay.
So we need to see more of him. But man, when he's been on the field, it's looked pretty good. It's, batting average wasn't great, but a 371 OBP and a 508 slug, you'll take that.
So Sam, in the event that you continue to have issues,
Jesus,
very quickly,
that's my internet.
The Mariners went college pitcher who could throw from both sides. They ended up trading him. They then took a flyer on a high schooler, 55th overall, Ryan Sloan. They had I'm just going to go ahead, a relatively heavy pitcher draft, I believe, for them. I think I'm seeing 5 in the first 9 rounds, something like that. What are your thoughts on their draft class? And of course, we'll give you 90 seconds just on Ryan Sloan's potential.
Well, I really like their front office as far as it comes to their drafts and who they seem to target. They have a lot more successes than failures. So I don't have strong opinions going into the draft or coming out of the draft about who they chose. I want to get to know those players better. An example of that is like Luke Stevenson this last year when they drafted him at catcher. Like, I think that guy is going to be a major league catcher. I know everybody who's watching loves catcher talk, so I just wanted to get my 2 cents in. So I think the draft class was really good. Ryan Sloan is unreal. Like, all the talk this year since the season has started has been about Cade Anderson, and rightfully so. Cade Anderson has been the bullet thrower in the minors. There's a couple other pitchers that people talk about, but Cade Anderson is 1A or 1B as far as who is dominating in the minors. And the Mariners have 6 starting pitchers, and they still are talking about when is Cade going to get in. There's not even a need for him in the major league roster, and they want to put him on there. And I bring all that up about Cade to talk about Ryan Sloan, because going into the season, Ryan Sloan and him were viewed as equals. Cade's lefty, Ryan Sloan's the righty. Ryan Sloan has such a workman's ethic about throwing the baseball that when I saw an interview with him, I did not believe that he was a year removed from high school.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
He is eloquent.
Yeah, he interviews very well.
And not like he uses big words, or not that he talks about complicated things. He's just very sure of himself. Like, you are talking to some dude who is like, I don't need to figure out who I am. I'm in the process of making me the best person, the best player, the best teammate that I can be. Like, everything. And it's not rehearsed. Like, you would see players like Jared Kelnick, or in football, Russell Wilson, like, who would give the coaches.
Uh-oh.
Oh no, he froze for you too. I was hoping it was just for me.
No,
I love the face he's made on the freeze.
Am I back?
You are now. Go.
Okay, well, I'm going to finish off by saying Ryan Sloan will be pitching for the Mariners at the end of 27 and 28. Him and Cade Anderson are going to be the top of that rotation, even if the pitchers that are there right now are still there.
So this draft had 2 pitchers that I really thought were intriguing with the Mariners too. Grant Knipp who was actually drafted as a two-way player as a catcher and pitcher. But he was injured, had Tommy John, and has come back and is only pitching right now. I don't know if that's going to continue being the way. But the other one is a guy who had just a ton of helium as a high schooler, went to Louisiana State and went to Vanderbilt and then transferred to Louisiana State. And that is Christian Little. And they moved him to the bullpen this year, you guys, and he's in high A in Everett. So could go give him a look-see. 165 ERA, a 0.81 whip, and 33 strikeouts in 27 and a third innings. This might be a really good role for him finally.
Maybe.
He struggled through college. He was like an 8 ERA guy a lot of college. But all this talent, and so everyone still wanted him. I mean, he left Vanderbilt, and LSU was drooling over getting him going into a year that they won the championship with Paul Skeens. People are talking about him as the prime transfer that they got in, not Skeens. And so it kind of tells you just how much talent this kid had. And yeah, if they flip him to the bullpen and he can be an elite guy, man, that would be a hell of a. But it's just one that I find interesting to watch in this draft just because of who he was as a prospect before he was drafted.
Well, and I think it just illustrates just how deep that system actually is. There's a lot of names like that people just aren't talking about right now, that if he was in another organization, they probably would get a lot more press, and a lot of fun names.
Hitter-wise, the guy that I think is interesting, and maybe you've seen him already, Brandon Ike.
Yeah, he's playing in Everett.
Yeah, I don't know a lot about him. I haven't seen a lot of him. I just have seen what his numbers are, and they look like a guy who could be a very solid, like, third base type. But the problem is he's playing a lot more first base, which makes me think maybe he's not great defensively over at third. And I don't know if he's got the power you kind of want at first.
Well, I don't think he's leaving Everett anytime soon, so I'll pay.
You'll get a chance to see him.
I'll take some pictures for you. I'm right behind the dugout, so you can get those close-ups that you like. I got you.
But he's, like I said, he's intriguing at least. I mean, as far as a late round guy that is producing and looks like he might have something. So,
right. I'm gonna spare you guys. I'm so sorry that my house has decided that I don't get the internet on a regular basis tonight. So. Thank you for letting me talk about Ryan.
Hey.
I love you guys. Hey, everybody out there that's watching us, peace and love. Now you get the smart people.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's a step forward. But anyway,
so Ben, let's skim through 3, 4, and 5 and see if we can find talent, and then we know we're jumping several rounds. To the second half of this draft. So we're basically just going to kind of call out anybody we noticed that had some draft hype or post-draft hype. Cleveland's 84th pick overall, Cleveland's Joey Oakey. I remember being considered within the same gauge jump, kind of like here's somebody who might become draft hypey. Oakey, of course, was the high school, whereas jump not in the college rankings. Mike Sirota.
I would say right ahead of Oakey was Josh Hartle, who was kind of the second on that Wake Forest team that had Rhett Lauder. He was Hartle was kind of their number 2 starter, but either injury or fell off. I can't remember which one it was, but had a rough draft year and was a guy who was kind of considered easily a first rounder and then fell to the third and has kind of been, I think he's in Cleveland's organization now. And I can't remember.
Yeah.
He was the Spencer Horwitz when Spencer went from Toronto to that whole shindig.
Yep.
And he is at AA this year and not elite, but a 4.13 ERA, 59 strikeouts over 65 innings. So, I mean, kind of looking like a mid-rotation or back of the rotation lefty. You'll take that.
Yeah.
But yeah, Mike Sirota kind of looks like the holy crap, we caught lightning in a bottle guy here.
From
but there's still some
Cincinnati,
really
now
good
with
ones.
the Dodgers, for anybody who's been taking a prospect nap.
Ronnie Cruz really has jumped forward this year with the Cubs. So if you're not paying attention to Ronnie Cruz, you probably should start. I'm guessing he might be already picked up. I don't see Joe in our chat tonight, but we should mention Nathan Flewelling, because anytime there's a chance to mention him, he's a big fan.
He's Canadian.
Yeah. And if I'm not mistaken, isn't Johnny King? Didn't he have a solid either start to last year or
last year?
Last year?
His prospect hype went up big time. So he was the Blue Jays pick in this round here, and initially it was thought of as like, well, that's an interesting reach, and they went over slot for him. He got a 1.225, whatever it was, almost 1.25 million signing bonus out of a slot that was under 800,000. They did sign him, and then he was good in his 25, and then I don't know if he's in Vancouver.
I was just pulling him up. Yeah, Vancouver, 2.47 ERA over 47 innings with 66 strikeouts. That's a pretty solid for a high school guy in his in high A. This is actually technically his first full season, because he played complex ball last year as a high school lefty. Not quite a Robbie endorsed lefty. He's only 6'3", but
Also, just being within the Jays organization and them having zero ability to develop high school pitchers really concerns me. But knowing like they've spent millions and millions on Dunedin, which is single A as well as like complex for them. So there's the ability for them to do it now. It's just that we haven't seen it. So anyway, he would be an excellent one.
The other guy in this round that, and yes, you can say it's a Braves thing, but it's actually from AFL. Luke Sennard was getting a lot of attention down there last year. 6'7" righty, was kind of I want to say a small school guy or even a JUCO guy. Oh, well, never mind. He went to Indiana. I'm dumb. No, he was JUCO the year before, and then went to Indiana for 1 year before, and then was had surgery, and so he missed that whole year. That's what it was. And so the Braves took the flyer on him, sent him to the AFL last year, and he was solid. He made the All-Star team, was solid. This year, been injured, but he came back just recently, and 6 starts of the year, 2.35 ERA, 29 strikeouts, and 23. It is a really steady delivery for a guy who's 6'7", 6'8". And one of those guys that very likely could be a number 4 starter and pitch 200 innings and going to give you a goofy look. And so if you put him behind like a Spencer Schwellenbach or like a guy who's more of your traditional high velocity, high stuff sort of guy, but is not the same size, and then all of a sudden you get Luke Sennard pitching 6'7", 6'8", with a different arm angle and a consistent just pound the zone type of delivery. It's a different look. It's a good back-to-back type of thing to throw into your rotation. Interesting, at least. But again, that's where we're kind of getting to already in this draft. He could be a good back of the rotation guy.
It's thinning.
It's thinning fast.
So I've got a big jump out here, all the way into round 4, 2/3 of the way through here. So if you don't have anyone offhand, I've got a guy.
I think.
So at 129, Atlanta picked a pitcher I typically am not interested in, Herrick Hernandez. At the time, a 20-year-old, almost 21-year-old lefty, 5'10", 200 pounds. So the build. It's the build of the guy who comes in and pitches, gets 2 games. It's the Jose Suarez looking dude who, you're not really content with him. He's there while the next guy is getting ready. And that's kind of how I've looked at him. But Herrick Hernandez last year in 103 innings had 127 strikeouts, 68 walks, mind you, 1.35 whip. Not great. This year, that was at A and high A. That was all at high A. This year at all double A, essentially, one start. So 35 innings, 46 strikeouts, 21 walks. We see an issue with the walk, but his ERA 1.77, can't ignore it. WHIP 1.23, which we're small sample. Those things can go up and down quite a bit. But I'm seeing somebody who now in double A looks like they're a pitcher as opposed to the whole like thrower thing. And I'm curious, Ben, if you've had an eye on him at all. I believe he's been a player of the week, and we've mentioned him before. Within that, I did pick him up in the one league I can pick prospects up in season. I picked him up, and I've just been kind of watching. I knew he had been previously drafted. I just looked it up to see. It was the Reds in the 19th round in 23. So he was somebody that I would have seen last week, and we probably mentioned the fact that he had signed, and maybe be talking about him this week. I don't remember. But then he went from 19th round to 4th round. So, 19th round money, which would be flyer type money, or nothing, to his signing bonus was $472,500. So what do you have on him? I like him as a non-peak rookie who should be able to make it up, and possibly next year.
So what I have heard about him is 5'10" is very generous.
Okay.
And
that's funny.
So it creates a really awkward angle for hitters, because it just looks like the ball is continuing to go up and up and up from his, because he throws kind of like a low 3/4. And so when he slings that from the left side, it just like, it's like taken off. But he really has to hit his spots, and he's kind of in and out on that. If he could become even just like an above average, not even a plus control guy, but an above average control guy, this is easily a back of the bullpen lefty 1 inning guy. If he can make that, and he works kind of on 2 pitches. If he could get that third one like consistent, this is definitely a guy who's at least a swingman as a lefty, and possibly a guy that can work his way into the back of a rotation. It's just
okay. I've got a comp.
It's a left. The angle that they get, they have said that there's a lot of similarity to what Fuentes does with the ball, because Fuentes is only like 6 foot, and he throws 98, and Hernandez is like 94. Right. So that's the big difference there. But it's right versus left too, and lefties that can throw 94 are a little like a righty that can throw 98. It's kind of velocity wise, as far as starters go.
So my comp, as far as I guess the guy I would relate based on what you've just said. Now, mind you, I'm switching from a lefty to a righty. If you recall, the relief pitcher for the Blue Jays began in 2004. Jason Frazier, Frasor.
I remember him.
Frazier. Yep. Yeah, Frazier walked in and took the closer job on not going to make the playoffs, but a Jays team that I don't believe was horrific. But he was able to strike guys out and be effective. And then I don't know what happened. They must have signed a closer the next year. Maybe that was when BJ Ryan came in or something. Because then for 4 years, he combined for 4 closes and was on the roster, it looks like, all year. And then in 2009, he had 11 closes. But he was the kind of guy who you're like, he's small, but I'm happy to see that he's here.
Yeah.
He's not gonna be elite. Now, he definitely had a couple of decent stretches, but the ERA looks to pretty consistently be, upper 3s, 4, whatever.
Yeah.
What was his career? His career was 349 over 12 years. So like a perfectly good serviceable dude in over 600 innings, 11-year career.
When you're at that height, the issue you run into is, it looks like the ball's going up and up and up, except that it's not. And hitters eventually figure that out, and they meet it at the, especially if you're going top zone with it.
Yeah.
Guys eventually figure that out. If you're just barely top of zone, you almost need to pitch up and out of the zone every time, because if you hit the top of that zone and it's a little bit flat at all, it's leaving the ballpark because of that angle and everything. So the other guy in this round that caught my attention as we were of course, it's almost into the 5th round, but it's David Hageman, who was with the Rangers and is now with the Diamondbacks, was part of the trade last year or 2 years ago. last year, whatever. Or this offseason, actually. And he is not doing anything crazy in high A, but kind of showing that he's a steady starter, and there's a lot of hype about his raw stuff. But this is also a college starter from West Virginia who is in high A, which it just concerns me a little bit. He got a lot of hype because he was coming off of injury and different things last year and putting up really big numbers, but that was also in A-ball as a college guy, and he's still in A-ball as a college guy. And so that's my biggest concern there. But again, a guy who's has a reputation for stuff anyway. But yeah, those are the guys that kind of caught my eye. Marco Dingus, just because I love that last name, so I'm going to bring him up, but he's just a guy. I don't know that he's anyone that's like elite, but it's kind of fun to have a guy whose last name is Dingus.
Well, we've got a few in the 5th round, and then we do have a long period of yet to develop. And one of the guys is AJ Causey, pitcher with the Royals. And he was in the fall league last year and was not amazing. The ERA 7.45, but that can happen when you get lit up in whatever 1 inning. 9 2/3. He had 13 strikeouts, 1 walk. That's decent. This year he is 24 innings in, but 22 strikeouts at Double-A, and he's now with the Athletics. I think this was a Mitch Spence trade. Causey for Mitch Spence, I believe, is the deal that was made for this one. So I'm not sure what overall expectations are, but his name popped up on my radar. I think the early winner of this is the White Sox in round 5 with Sam Antonacci, who we did talk about maybe 2 weeks ago. I think he's almost 200 major league at bats in. He signed for what, $570,000 out of Coastal Carolina, and he's been excellent. The Angels also signed Dylan Jordan for $1.2 million. He was an overslot high school pitcher, which we've seen them do that. He also seems to be somebody Fantasy Minds are interested in, and results are looking good. Cale Fountain was another one. Half
makes me sad. South Dakota Wharton guy, but
that's right. He signed for 1.7, which drew a lot of eyes in that round.
And it's too bad they couldn't loan those eyes to him, because he apparently cannot see a ball. It's just
and
not
he's hurt. And he was just traded in one of my dynasty leagues. And when he was traded, I'm like, wait a second, really? And then I looked, and like something said he was hurt for the year. And then somebody competing traded him, for what a relief pitcher of some sort, some piece to try to keep it going. But I didn't see anybody else that stood out to me. Now there's signing bonuses that stand out, but
very last pick of this round, Devin Fitzgerald.
Yeah.
He was traded he was part of that Mackenzie Gore deal, blah, 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 if I could talk. And he has been very good this year. He was recently promoted to Double-A. I want to say he was a high school pick. Yeah, he was a high school pick in that draft. So he's 20, and he just got pushed up to Double-A. Now, the numbers are not outstanding this year so far, but he's just kind of shown the ability to do a little bit of everything.
Okay.
One of those guys, he's got 13 home runs, 11 steals, a 32-58 walk to strikeout ratio, which isn't half bad. And in 284 plate appearances. So you're talking not even a 20% strikeout rate, which is, you'll take that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, a lot of good things for a guy who's up to Double-A pretty quick. I think he's probably best served by having kind of a slow burn from that point to the majors. It might be good to have him up to the majors in 28, spend the next year plus working in the upper minors, but has definitely, I believe I want to say his dad is the coach at Stoneman Douglas High, Parkland. This is where we had the shooter a number of years back, but they've also produced a lot of really good ball players. The Anthony Rizzo and Jesus Lizardo and a number of good guys. So
Yeah, and then we go through several rounds of
where it's not good.
Yeah, they're working on it. We don't want to crap on anybody who obviously they've been drafted 2 years ago. They're certainly still working on themselves. But the next one that I even have kind of note is Toronto's 12th round pick, Carson Messina, who is a 6'2" righty who signed for $550,000. 21 2/3 innings pitched, 28 Ks in 6 starts. Now, I didn't do the right thing of say what level, but I'm assuming this is at least high A, and that's why I mentioned him. I would love for it to be double A. Connor Eaton of Colorado was a 6th round pick who I did mention a few times last year because I was loving the stat line in Hartford. He's is repeating and pitching very well there, but it's a Colorado pitcher, and he's not absolutely dominating. He's pitching well, so a mention as a 6th rounder. But anyway, that was the next one up. Ben, I have a 13th rounder out of Milwaukee, as we always talk about how they do a lot of work in the second half of the draft. Joey Broughton signed for $535,000.
Yep.
He debuted last year, so did not make a debut in 25. 22 1/3 innings pitched, 27 Ks. He does have 12 walks. That's a mix of rookie and now A-ball. So he hits the watch list for me as a 6'2" lefty, also as a Milwaukee pitcher.
Gregory Alford is one from the 11th round.
That's right.
Got a huge bonus and had a solid year last year as a debut. And they sent him back to single A, and I thought, God, why send a kid back to the Cal League? And then I remembered, oh yeah, you're the Angels. You have nowhere fun for any pitcher to go.
Because otherwise you send him to double A and you promote straight to the show from there. So you can't. Yeah.
But he's back in single A, and I'm guessing he's going to get some high A run to finish out the year. Nothing amazing, 3.70 ERA, 132 WHIP, but 58 1/3 innings, 59 strikeouts. Kind of solid performance, especially for the Cal League. You know, you don't
need your pitchers to be aces, right? Yeah. You just don't want them to fall in their face. And the Angels have had guys who have been drafted and we've been interested in, like, okay, they gave them money, they signed. We know there's talent. What can they do? And some of them fall on their face. Barrett Kent was not to say he's fallen on his face, but Barrett Kent was a guy who you're like, oh, okay, let's see what he can do.
Jumped out of the gate, and then he just kind of has stayed there.
And everybody got excited, and then that was his highlight was the debut. So the 16th round, I'm gonna just guess that this is a Milwaukee pitcher since I didn't put the team. Jaden Dubin. Oh man. Dubinwitz, Dubanewicz, Queen's English.
I was not jumping in on that one at all. I was 100% letting you swim on that one.
Dubanewicz. Anyway, he's already in high A, pitching fine, 16th rounder and a 665K bonus. That was a high school pick, I'm sure of it. Baltimore, Nate George, 455K out of the 16th round also. I don't know that this is, I just remember hearing the name, and I don't know if this was like a lucky they signed him. I don't remember what the notes are around.
Had a huge year last year.
Did he?
And I think he's repeated that. I'm just pulling him up because I don't remember that he's not been bad. 293, 372, 366, but hasn't really brought the power forward this year in high A. But he's also only 20.
Yep.
You know, he was a high school pick, and this is his second year. But still solid walk to strikeout ratio, 15.
Yeah, I'd say that was an excellent debut season. 3. Yeah.
So,
one that I caught twice, so he's smart about it. Holy shit! Sorry, last year he stole 50 bases, Ben. He got caught 25 times.
Yeah. He's been much smarter this year. Because that was brought up. But see, he went through the first 3 months being caught 3 times. I think it was like he just suddenly couldn't figure out catchers anymore, or catchers had a clue that he was just going. So speaking of catchers,
good.
And I know you love this, but a 13th rounder for Cleveland caught my eye because I was doing highest walk rates in the minor leagues for one of my articles this year. Bennett Thompson out of the University of Oregon. He is in high A for Cleveland. 314, 495, 536. Has 54 walks and 36 strikeouts in 210 plate appearances. That is a 25% walk rate. And strikeout rate, that's about a 15% strikeout rate. So holy crap. And then 7 home runs, 11 doubles.
Soto? Are you making this your Juan Soto declaration?
No.
Right now?
But the tough part is here, he is in a system with a lot of really solid catchers in Cleveland. There are a lot of really good catchers between him and the majors.
Well, and Bo Naylor, who was supposed to be a next man up, had started the year so bad after the WBC. He went to Complex. They've reworked him, air quotes. He's now a 200 hitter. Has an inside the park home run to his credit in AAA.
This is a team that's got, Cooper Engel. They've got Jacob Cozart. They got a bunch of guys. So it's going to be tough for him to push his way through, but also that means that this might be the type of guy that ends up the second man on a trade or third man.
Okay.
And could get an option somewhere where he could end up becoming a solid backup. But just caught my eye because of the walk rate. And so I remembered his name as we're going through all these. There's a lot of nothing here. There really is. As far as guys that have established something so far, until you get to about the 18th, 19th round, which is just nuts, that it's better to be in.
And this, as we talked about last week, there were a lot of guys last week in the 17th, 18th, 19th, 20th round who did not sign, who were top 3 round picks in last year's draft. And we did mention that. Now, this draft does not have nearly as many. I saw late, like Opelmuller, who was drafted in the 18th, 19th round, and then redrafted last year to the Phillies in the second round. That's the only one I saw off the top of my head I can remember right now. The
high school picks from this draft still wouldn't be eligible until this year.
There we go.
So that's why you haven't seen them. Yeah, I mean, some of these could turn around, but I like name-wise, none of them are like catching my eye that, this was a guy that we should know. Let me pull up his stats because some reason Lyle Miller Green. Oh, because he was a two-way guy. That's why.
Gotcha.
That's why. But he was
standing out to you?
Yeah, I was like, that's a guy that I think there was something about him that I wanted to that caught my eye. But yeah, let's just get back to the back ends.
Like I've only got one more guy outside of your guy, and it's Tyler Renz, who signed I think for $700,000 or $800,000 with Milwaukee. Again, same deal. Watching him go now. He's in his second full season here. Last year he pitched 73 innings, 63 Ks, a 3.19 ERA, 1.1 WHIP, totally solid, 25 walks. This year he started the year at A-ball. Last year he was rookie and then A-ball, finished at A-ball. He's pitching A-ball here, and 3.88 ERA with 10 starts, 14 appearances, 55 and 2/3 innings, 52 strikeouts, 34 walks. So a little switch within the maybe he's nibbling a little more this year, but he's 19-year-old. He's a 19-year-old in A-ball, 6'4", righty here. So that's my last guy other than the obvious.
Got two more.
Yep, perfect.
That I'll bring up other than the one obvious that we'll get to. Owen Ayers was a 19th round pick by the Cubs. Another catcher, I understand. But this is a guy who's just was an okay guy and has just blown up as a major leaguer or as a minor leaguer. Here is his stat line in the AFL last year. 379, 539, 591 with a 22-10 walk to strikeout. That's a solid appearance. Then this year so far, he has now made it up to AA. He has 18 home runs on the year. He is hitting 313, 424, 649. And he is in AA right now. That's a very good catcher. and especially for a 19th round pick. Now, what I will say, he's the type of catcher that should be playing DH. And he's got a lot of work to do behind the plate, but for what it's worth, he has done a lot of work behind the plate to get better. I don't know if he's ever going to be an elite catcher, but could he get up to be, I bring this guy up a lot just because he's a good example of a hit first backup, but a David Ross type where he comes up and he's a real good backup catcher that can hit and take a start or two a week. That'd be a really good role. But yeah, Owen Ayers is a guy to know. And then the other one is in the Marlins system, a left-handed pitcher, Nate Payne.
Right. Yeah.
Was a high school pick and has not gone so well with him in high A this year. Started out the year really kicking the crap out of low A to a 2.50 ERA, but now overall he's got a 4.31 over 62 and 2/3 innings, but still 88 strikeouts. So he's setting them down pretty well. Just, and for a guy that you got in the 18th round, you'll take that as a developmental win already. But then we get to talk about a Brave, and we'll finish it off.
Not just any Brave, a Canadian
Brave, which they do have quite a few of, by the way.
Yes.
But I want to bring up this question that was asked in the chat, just because this brings to light some of the value stuff here that we're talking about. Eric Hartman or Eli Willits in Dynasty. And that says nothing about, nobody is saying Eli Willits is not having one hell of a year. And he was the number 1 overall pick in 2025. And so far this year, he has made it now up to high A, and he is hitting 298, 423, 544 with 11 home runs, 34 steals. And yet his numbers aren't as good as Eric Hartman's. And that is who we are talking about here. So what I would say is the shortstop is always going to catch my eye, but Hartman is getting a lot of rave reviews for his center field defense and the work he's done there. The question you have is, has he reached now where he should have been evaluated at before? Or is this going to have, it's the opposite of a dead cat bounce? Is he going to have hit such a high level that now there's going to be expectations that he grows beyond this, and he's kind of hit the level he's going to be at, and as he goes up the levels, it's still going to be very useful in AA. It's going to be very useful in AAA. It's going to be a second division starter in the majors, but this is what he is, where he's at now. I don't know. And that's the question you have when a guy jumps like this so much, you just don't know. That's the risk. But our man Govier said, go for the potential superstar. That's just it. You're talking big time ceiling and floor difference right there. I think Willits is definitely going to give you a lot better floor. But that gets us into the last guy we'll talk about here, who is Eric Hartman. And 20th round pick by the Braves out of, is high school, is that the right term to use? Technically, yeah. But had also played some, is it a college? The Canadian League, is that more of a college league, or is that?
No, that's
just like anyone can play,
like a showcase idea.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. But had played in that for 2 summers. And if you would have told me this last year, I would have said, yeah, sounds like he's got a hell of a lot of speed, and this is a fun guy that could be fun to watch, maybe turn into kind of what Patrick Clohese is from the same draft right now in the upper minors, which is a low average hitting guy who steals a lot of bases, and if he tries to lean too much into his power, it doesn't go so well. It's going well when he leans into his power, to say the least now. he is still in high A, and there's a little bit of rumbling that he may be at the midseason mark going up to double A. I'm not sure what I think of that. I kind of like the idea of letting him sit.
Yeah.
Letting him function and letting him earn his way up. I mean, obviously he's earned his way up as far as his overall numbers, but there's still some things that he can work on. 65 strikeouts in 284 plate appearances. That's not horrible. You're not talking a number with a 3 in front of it, but it's more than 25, and so it's something to work on for sure. And it's a sub 10% walk rate. So maybe it's a matter of, can we work on some pitch recognition and play 2 months or a month in double A, or a month and a half in double A rather than 3 months in double A? Do we really need the half season in double A?
Right.
As far as his development is concerned, because if this is just a starting point of where his talent is going, boy, you don't want to mess this up. You don't want to push him so hard, so fast that all of a sudden he just hits a ceiling in a darned hurry. If there's more that can be developed, develop it in the lower levels where he gains confidence with it. But that's my 2 cents on Hartman. What do you, as the Canadian, what do you think on Hartman?
Like, I love the idea of, if they've shown they can dominate at the level, then move him up. But he's not, like you said, the strikeouts are there. There's something to work on. You're in no rush. He's found money, right? It was like $150,000 bonus guy. He's getting hyped. You don't want to screw this up. You also don't want it to go to his head. And now that he's already had Acuna comps as far as like this stat line at this time, it's poisoning the well for the poor kid. So you need to be really careful with what you do. Now, luckily, he's an Alberta boy, and they can be grown tough, and they can understand that people are talking. That doesn't mean anything. It's a matter of, who is this young man, and does this go to his head? Is he reading? Is he reading all the reviews, or is he just playing baseball? And I hope he's just playing baseball. And if he is, then I think it's perfectly fine to let him go all season. And if Atlanta wants to do something crazy, they could send him to Australia if they want. They could have him go to the AFL for 2 weeks. They could do something that's interesting with him at the end of his season.
I think no matter what,
give him the assignment next year.
Yeah, I think no matter what you challenge him, it would be kind of, if you want to do it that way, it'd be a really good idea that give him the last month in double A, then give him the time off in between double A being done and Australia starting, and then go play some Australia ball. That would be a really good break path for him potentially this year. Or leave him at high A all year, send him to the AFL for that extra month of time, and then give him the off season to kind of gather himself on what he's picked up for the year and be ready for double A the next year.
Absolutely.
I think either path is okay. I just hope that they aren't pushing it too hard this year and then burning out something for next year. But certainly I have seen, that's not entirely true. I have heard podcast people talk about arguing for him in the top 10 of their top 100 prospect list. That is ridiculous.
Yeah.
That is ridiculous. Now, do I think that what he has shown so far, what you have on tape, the people who have been in person that I trust that have evaluated him and what they've said, do I believe that he's certainly worked his way into the top half of a top 100? Sure. But that's about as far as I'm willing to go with it. I'm not talking top 20. I'm not talking anything like that at this point.
But it's also, you can do that, Ben, and you can be like, this is where you can whatever, pick your spot. 75th. You're like, I can put him there. And the reason that anyone who makes a list can do that is because all you need to do is wipe your keyboard and hit backspace a few times and move him out of it. Whereas in actual real life, for a team to invest, to be like, we think of him this way, that's a completely different scenario. And that's what we'll see, as we were just discussing, what they do with him by season's end. Have they given him a challenge, and what was the challenge they gave him? We just discussed a couple of really interesting, aggressive assignments, a little AFL time, possibly Australia, just something where he's going to pitch against. It's like saying, go to the Dominican League for a month. Let's go see what you can do against a bunch of guys who you've never seen in an environment you've never been in. Let's go just test the
who
waters.
Have some professional background. Like I said, that's where
they'll battle you.
Or
they won't try to throw by you. They'll try to outwork you on this. They'll force you into a ground out. They'll force you to do things you're not sure about.
Here is a really interesting and a little bit awkward question, because I may have Govier kick my ass for even bringing this up, but there's been a couple of different writers now who've talked about the Braves being a really good landing spot for Tarek Skubal if he is moved. Is this the type of guy that leads a deal like that? Because he is found money.
Yep, for sure he is.
Certainly he's bumped up the ranks a ton. That would be a really good indicator for us. If the Braves go into a trade talk and they're not willing to put him in for Tarek Skubal, that tells you right there how much value they see on him. Now, granted, Skubal's a rental, so that's another end of things. And it would almost need to be like Hartman plus Lucas Braun, and Uncle Ted's going to hate me for saying that, but it's going to like a
Skubal is who David Price was once upon a time when he was a Tiger and got traded for half of the Blue Jays farm team. That's a comparable kind of deal. You got to give up your best to get the best,
to get that,
even if it's 7 starts in the regular season and a playoff run, because that is the difference between the World Series potential of you and the playoff potential. You get an ace, you change your outcome.
Yeah. Who wants to really go up against Skubal and Chris Sale in the offseason? That's one hell of a playoff pairing right there at the top of your rotation. Now, and 2 lefties, no less. You go up against get up against someone like the Phillies.
Oh my goodness. That's drinking some Kool-Aid.
I love Fuentes, but
Fuentes is Skubal.
Fuentes out of the bullpen has been amazing, and I really hope they keep him in the role he's in, because
aces in their places, right?
Yes,
when the guy does well, you leave them where they are. If you think they can do something else, put them to where they can do something well.
And not making the comp here, but this is exactly what the Twins did with Johan Santana and with Francisco Liriano. They brought him in, they put him in the bullpen, and said, earn your way out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And they got spot starts that first year, but mostly were pitching out of the bullpen. And then they took off as starters. Now, Liriano kind of crashed and burned after that.
But he had moments.
But he had his moments. And Santana became a stud. But both of them, that was a very good way to introduce them to the majors when they had the stuff that was so good that there was no reason they needed to be in the minors anymore. But they didn't have the maturity yet on the mound to handle it as a big league starter full time. That was a really great way to work them in. And I think that's what you want to do with Fuentes. But yes, as you're talking about with this type of a package, I don't know. Yes, he would absolutely be that headliner guy. And they might throw in a whole bunch of filler guys that would be on the Braves top 30, but really are not in consideration at all for a top 100 list type of thing. Mm-hmm. Like I said, like a Lucas Braun, there's a lot of really good solid pitchers like that in the Brave system that they could bring in. David McCabe, who's a real a solid third base.
Herrick Hernandez, who we mentioned, just options with upside. Yes. And then you let the Tigers, or if that's the kind of deal, maybe there's another team with another dude, but you let those teams say, here's who we evaluate in these spots. You also learn a lot by just knocking on doors, looking for the rental players, because they're like, well, here's the guys we want the potential to have 5 or 6 years of MLB time of, and then you understand where your system sits. If you keep hearing the same 4 names, your system might only have 4 dudes
Yeah.
that everybody else is valuing, and then you value others differently. That's when you start to reassess things. But we have gone a little longer than the hour promised tonight.
Yeah.
So Ben, before we hit an hour 50, let's end it. Next week, we're doing the 2025 draft recap, and then a mock draft the following week.
And I will give one more update since we are closing things out. We are in the bottom of the 7th inning, and Oklahoma is up 9-1. So commanding lead.
Over.
It may be over. This is absolutely yes. So that's all I've got. What do you guys? I mean, let's get everyone in next week, because what we're going to do, we are going to talk about the 2025 draft, but because it's only a year out, we can't really get as deep as we can even into this draft, because this draft has a whole bunch of major leaguers in it early on. But the 2025 draft, everyone's just kind of getting their first taste of the minors right now. So we're going to also talk about what the 2026 draft looks like, because we're going to have a mock in a couple of weeks, and that should be fun, because it'll be our 4th mock or 3rd mock that you and I have done together.
Third. I think our
so
third.
It'll be a fun time, and we have some really fun things that we've used for the mocks in the past, but we might have to talk with Govier to see if he's got the time, if he can get get home and actually put those together.
If we can get a few more Venmo dollars, get that.
Yeah, there we go. There we go.
Early flight here.
Although, then we'll go and burn them, and the guy wants it back. So, it is what it is.
No refunds.
Yeah,
anyway, okay, so on behalf of myself, Ben, Sam, who was in when he could be, and we hope to see him next week. Palazzo Podcast Discord, join it. It's free for everybody. Love, peace, hair grease, everybody. See you next week.
Carlos Delgado.
Excellent choice. Too bad I got him 3 rounds ago.
You're still on the clock.
Oh, shit!
You gotta do something.
Yeah, Hideki Matsui.
You just took my whole outfield.
Sorry, Charlie.